Hey loves, welcome back to another tutorial. So today's video we're going to be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful top that I am putting on. So if you're interested in this video, please keep on watching and let's get started. So on our last video we learned how to draft the pattern for this particular tutorial, as you can see. So if you've not seen the video, I'm going to link it down in the description box so you go watch it. So as you can see, I have the back pattern here. I have the first part of the front and the second part of the front. Now for this fabric, I folded my fabric into two and I placed my pattern on it. I'm going to cut it now, just like you see me doing. For this tutorial, I'm making use of 2 yards of crepe fabric. So if you're on the bigger side, you can get 2.5 yards, but 2 yards is perfect for this style. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back piece. So once I'm done with the back, I am going to set it aside. As you can see, there is no dart on this top because I did not use that. So go and check the video on the description box so you understand it better. So now I'm going to cut the first part of the front piece. So I folded my fabric into two and I'm going to place the pattern on it. I want to cut the both sides of the front, which is the left and the right hand side. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So while cutting, remember to add your allowance. I added my 1/2 inch sewing allowance on the bottom of this front part. So I'll just go ahead and cut off everything. So I folded my fabric into two again and I'm going to cut the corset part of this top. So as you can see, it is two and it is on fold. That's because I'm going to use a lining for this part. So I'm using my fabric as my lining. You can use another fabric as your lining if your fabric is not enough. So after cutting it, I'm going to cut the second one. So here I am notching my button allowance just so I will know it's my button allowance and not get confused. So after that, I'll go ahead and cut out the second part. So now I am going to place this piece on the new fabric to cut out the second part. So after placing it carefully, I am going to slash through and cut. If you have any other thing you can use as your lining, you might as well use your lining if you're using an Ankara fabric. But to make this very neat, I'm using the same fabric and my 2 yards is going to be enough for it. So I'll go ahead and notch it as well and then I'm going to set it aside. So here I have everything that I need now, the back piece, the front piece, and then I'm going to start working on them now. So for this back piece, I am going to open it up and the front part, we are going to gather it on the shoulder and we are using this back piece as a template. I don't know if you guys understand. The front part is slash and spread, so we are going to gather it. If you want to understand this very well, please watch the pattern drafting so that you understand what we are doing. So as you can see, it is slash and spread. So I'm going to use the back piece, which the shoulder is normal. There was no slash and spread done. So I'm going to use it as a template to sew. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. And also, we are also going to gather it on the bottom here. So I'll just get the other one and I'll also gather it around the back shoulder. And after that, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and secure it just the way you see me doing. So the style we are making, the front part has a gather effect on the shoulder down to the underbust. So that's exactly what we are doing now. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and secure it. So guys, this is how it looks. It's looking very neat. As you can see, I've gone ahead to gather it around the neckline, as you can see. So the next thing now is to also gather it on the underbust side. And I'm going to join it with the corset part that we just cut. So just pay attention and you understand it. So here I'm just trying to make sure that my armhole is aligned properly and everything is looking nice. So now the next step is to cut out a 1.5 inch band. But while cutting, you have to make it 2 inches that will go around this neckline. 2 inches because we are using 1.5 inch and then 1/2 inch will be for the joining. So I've already cut out my 2 inch band. The next step now is to attach it on the neckline. So I'm going to find the midpoint of this band and I'm going to mark it. After that, I'll go ahead and proceed to find the midpoint of the neckline. So I'll find the midpoint of the neckline and I'll also mark it as well. so that we'll start to join our band. And please make sure that it's better for your band to be very long than to be short, so you have to measure around the neckline to be sure of the amount of band you are going to use. So I'll go ahead and place the band on the middle parts of the neckline. So now I'm going to pin it round the way I am going to sew it. So I'm using my pin to pin it round the neckline. So I am done pinning it, and the next step is to go over to my sewing machine and secure it. So as you can see, I have sewn in the band to the neckline and it's looking so neat. So the next step is to get the lower part of the front, which is the corset part, and attach it as well. I don't know if you guys can see this very well. The shade of this material is not really showing. The reflection of the light is really bad, so I don't know if you guys can see it well. I hope you guys are seeing it well. So now the second part of this top, which is the corset part, as you can see, I'm holding it now. I am going to attach it to this underbust. I am going to gather it as I'm doing it. So first of all, I'm going to cut off this excess that we have at the band. So after that, now I am going to arrange my fabric well the way I am going to sew it. And I told you guys that we are gathering this point, this underbust point, we are gathering it to the lower part of this top, which is the corset part. So as you can see, I'm making my gathers, the way I'm going to do it. So we have a little to gather, and that's how I wanted my top. So I am going to sew this place. I'll go to my sewing machine and sew it. So I've already joined it together, as you can see. So now I'm going to turn it over to the other side, as you can see. So here I am making a little pleat, just so I will know how I'm going to gather it. As you can see, I'm not gathering much. So after that, I'm now going to open this up and place it inside. Please guys, pay attention to this part. I opened it up like this, and then I placed the upper part inside like this at the edge. Just open it up and put it inside. Then after doing that, I'm now going to gather it inside. So I am carefully placing it inside, and I'm going to pin the points so that it doesn't move. I'm going to pin the points, and also the end of the fabric, I'm going to put everything inside, and I also pin it as well. Then after that, I will now gather it inside and sew. This is so that our top will be looking very nice, and because we're using lining to turn it. So this is just our lining that we're using to turn it. So inside now, I'm just going to go to my sewing machine and secure it, so that when we open it up, it is going to look neat when we finish sewing. So guys, I'm done sewing, and this is how it's looking. I gathered it immediately as I was joining it on my sewing machine. So that's exactly what you would do. As you can see, it's looking very neat. This back side, this is the back side, and it's also looking like as if it's the front. So you're not going to know the difference except for the band. So now I'm going to open it up so that you guys will understand exactly what we did. So this is how it looks when I open it up, and this is exactly where we did our gathers. As you can see, I gathered it inside, and then I made a straight stitch outside, and after that I open it up again, and this is how it is going to look. So this down part now, the bottom, I'm going to open it up again and sew so that it will look neat. We don't want to hem it. So we are opening it up again, and then we are going to sew it from the inside. When I want to sew it, I'll sew it from the inside, and then I'll open it up so that I will have a neat top. So that's exactly what you will do, guys. So now I'm going to cut the other parts of the top, and in case you did not understand this first part that we did, please pay attention to this second part because it's still the same process. So as usual, I am going to be cutting off the excess that we have on the band, and then I'm going to bring the corset parts of the top, and we are going to repeat the same process just like we did on the other parts. So here I have two fabrics, the lining and the main piece, so don't get it confused. So now I am going to do the same pleating, the same gathers that we did at the other side. There is nothing different that we are going to do. So guys, another method you can use to join your underbust to your corset part is just opening it up and just join it normal. So you can just do the pleat and sew. There is no putting it inside. But because we want ours to look very neat, that's why we are opening it inside to sew. So now I am going to join these parts. I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and sew. So here I'm done sewing it, as you can see, and the next step now is to open it up to the right side. So I'm going to open it up now to the right side. So here I am just arranging it so that it will look very neat as we are sewing. So please guys, pay attention. I'm going to hold this point and this point, and I'm going to put them together just like you see me doing. I'm going to put it inside and sew. So but let me just lay it flat so that you guys will understand it better. So after sewing it by the side, open it up and then place your underbust there. Just make sure that it reaches the end. Place it there and then gather it inside. You guys, it is very simple. And then sew. After sewing, you turn it over. It is very simple, guys. So I am done gathering it on my sewing machine, and this is exactly how beautiful it looks. This is very neat and beautiful, and if you're ready to wear tailor, this method is the best for you. You can't even know the difference between the front and the back unless you look well. So yeah, I am going to open it up now to hem the edges. Remember I told you I'm going to open it up and then I'll sew it inside. I'll also do the same to the other part, and then for the back piece I am going to just hem it the normal way. So the next step is to cut our sleeve, and the sleeve I'm working with is a bishop sleeve that will have a little gathers on the shoulder. So here I have my basic sleeve pattern with me, and the bishop sleeve we are working on is going to have an elastic. So I also provided an allowance for the elastic. The full length of my sleeve is 27 inches. So after marking it, I am going to arrange it the way I am going to cut it out. As you can see, so I told you guys I am going to gather it on the shoulder line. That's why I left this allowance that you see me marking now. So I'll just trace it out and then I'll cut it out. So once I'm done, I'm going to cut out the other sleeve as well. So I'll just fold it into two and I'll place the first sleeve on it and I'll just cut it out. So once I'm done cutting, I will go over to my sewing machine and I'll add my elastic. If you want to use a band, you can use it as well. It's all your choice. So I've gone ahead to add elastic to my sleeves, as you can see. So now the next step is to attach it to our top. So here I'm just trying to arrange it the way I am going to sew it. I remember we are going to gather it on the shoulder. So I am done making the pleats on the shoulder. The next step now is to sew the sides. So I'm going to turn it over to the wrong side, as you can see, and then I'm going to sew it all the way with the allowance that we took. So I'm done joining the sides and our top is 95% ready. Everything is ready now. I've also hemmed the base and everything is looking so neat. So now this top has a button on the front. So we are going to add our button to the front. So I've gone ahead to open my buttonholes, as you can see. And I also have my button here. I did this in the market with 14 naira per one, I think so. So it's not really so expensive. So I'm just placing them the way I am going to sew it. And then I'll go ahead and get my needle and thread, and then I'm going to sew it to the top. So guys, I am done sewing the button to my top and this is how it looks. It looks very neat. So now the next step for me is to close it up, just to show you guys how it will look at the end. So I'll just go ahead and close everything up. So we are done with the top and it's looking so beautiful and pretty, as you can see. If you've not seen the pattern drafting of this tutorial, I'll link it down on my description box so you go check it out. And also, if you've not subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe to join the family. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.